FFT Football Show is back for another year, right on time for the statewide cup finals. Will it be Glenorchy Knights to cap off a memorable run, or will it be Newtown Eagles winning their first trophy for more than a decade? We'll talk to players from the women's final from Clarence and Olympia teams as they prepare to face off in the women's final. It's all here on the FFT Football Show. Welcome to the FFT Football Show. Joining us on the couch tonight we have the one and only Walter Pless.
Hi Ben.
G'day Walter. We have the back post's Callan Pask.
Hi Ben.
G'day Callan. And the back post and the Mercury is Julius Ross.
G'day Ben, how are you?
Very well, thanks mate. And thank you for joining us. Let's start by talking about the men's final, which is between Glenorchy Knights and Newtown Eagles. Are you surprised by the two teams in the final?
Well, I'm not surprised by Newtown Eagles being in the final, Ben. I mean, they're second in the league, they're playing good football, and some viewers might disagree, but I thought they had a rather easy run. But I'm not surprised at them reaching it. Knights, I am surprised. They're struggling in the league, but they've performed admirably in the cup. They've produced a few giant-killing acts there. They won away in Launceston. They thrashed Lions, who are much higher than them in the league, in the quarterfinals. And then, to their great credit, they overcome South Hobart, the reigning cup holders, in a match at KG5 where they were tactically astute and they were able to beat South, even though it was extra time and penalties. It was a great achievement.
Julius, talk us through how Newtown Eagles got to the final.
Obviously they've had a very good campaign so far, Ben. Last year they struggled in the first round and were knocked out by Glenorchy Knights, who they faced in the final this year. That was on penalties, but this year they knocked out Prospect Knights, the Northern Premier League champions from 2011, 5-1 in a fairly convincing game on the road. Back down in Hobart, they knocked off Clarence 1-0 thanks to a late goal by Adam McEwen. And then in the semi-final, they knocked off the giant killers of this season, Taroona, 5-1 down at Kelvedon Park. So they've had a very interesting run, fairly convincing victories, and obviously the Clarence game was much closer, but they got over the line in that one.
No worries. Well, we caught up with the hairy man, Stephen Pitchford, at training, and I started by asking him how he felt to have made his second cup final in 2 years.
But it's good that we've been able to back up after playing in the state premiership final last year. The players are cautiously optimistic, I think, for the weekend.
And how has the preparation been, considering you had a chance to play Glenorchy Knights last weekend and won convincingly? How does that affect the mindset ahead of next week's final?
Yeah, I think it's good for the confidence of the players because they know that they can succeed against that opponent. But it's also a bit of a concern in that we don't want to be overconfident going into this match. We know that these players on their day can play well for Glenorchy Knights and particularly can score goals.
Jules, with that in mind, Eagles had a 4-0 win up on the weekend over Knights. How do you think they'll line up?
Obviously they're going to the game very confident. I think they'll play typically a 4-4-2 formation. They typically look to Alex Lazinski and Adam McEwen as focal points in their attack. They'll look to get the ball out wide to Ben Whitehall, who has a great cross on him, and obviously use Liam Scott and Blaine Hudson, who are a dangerous duo in the middle as well. Their backline's quite solid, led by Mark Page and Michael Anderson, and obviously Pitchford in the back as well in goals is a solid option for them.
Callan, are we going to see a better show than Knights last week?
Yeah, look, I'd hope they're much better prepared for Eagles this week after their showing and 4-0 loss at Clare Street last week. Completely outplayed and didn't really turn up on the day last weekend. So I would think that Chris Hay would have had some stern words with his players for the final. They were tactically astute, as Walter said, in beating South Hobart, and they need to be the same way again when they play Eagles. They need to be much tighter in midfield. They need to have support there to be able to shut down Scott and Blaine Hudson in the middle, and they need to be able to have probably my boy Simon Strang up front needs to be the focal point for their attacks, and they need him to be on song, and they need Latico perhaps to play a bit part in supporting him. Apart from that, they're going to need to be solid at the back because we know Eagles have got firepower in Adam McEwen and Lazinski, who have been fantastic up front for Eagles this season. So look, I think they're a chance. But I think Chris Hay needs to get back to that tactical game plan that he played against South Hobart. They're going to need to be a little bit more defensive, and they need to pick their opportunities to attack.
Well, we caught up with Chris Hay earlier in the week, and he seemed to think it was impossible for his team to play any worse, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, look, I mean, we just get back on the training track and work on try and put into practice again what we've been trying to do all year. It was a game that we've simply got to put behind us. I understand that there are our opponents again on Monday, but I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think we could play that badly again. It was a pretty poor effort.
So do you change players or structure or both or neither or?
No, I think we're certainly looking at some positional changes more than anything. Formation-wise, I think we'll start with what we're comfortable with, and if that's not working for us, then we'll adapt throughout the game. But there may be one or two positional changes that we need to change as a result of last weekend.
So Walter, considering the success they had against South with a defensive formation, do you think that Chris Hay will send his team out that same way against Newtown?
I don't think so, Ben. South Hobart was a special occasion and they lined up to meet that challenge. The best form of defence is attack, and I think that's what they'll use against Eagles. They can't really afford to defend. They got beaten 4-0 last week, and so their best strategy will be to attack, I think.
Okay, well it's predictions time. We'll go down the couch. Jules?
I think both teams will be pretty geared up for this one. They'll both be wanting to win some silverware for the first time in a long time. I think Eagles, obviously given their form and the win on the weekend against Knights, will look like the massive favourites in this one. But I think Knights, if the right Knights turn up, they get switched on psychologically and mentally. Could be an interesting game, but I'm giving it to Eagles 2-0 at this stage.
Okay, Callum?
Oh, look, I think there's no secret of my love for Simon Strang, and I think if he can perform and Knights come out on song, that the Knights might just get up now. I know that's not going to be a popular prediction, and it's not the on-form prediction, but I think that's pretty much all they've got to play for this season. To be honest, they're not winning the league. They need to try and stay in the league, but this is their final. And I think it'll be Knights in a close one. I think maybe 3-2.
Okay, and Walter?
I'll go for Eagles, Ben. I think they've got the runs on the board. They've beaten Knights twice in the league this season, and although the Knights have done extremely well to get to this stage, I don't think they can get over this final hurdle.
Thanks, Walter. So 2 of the boys going for Eagles and just 1 for Knights. But of course, the men's final is not the only game on the Queen's birthday holiday. We have 4 games, beginning at 10 a.m. with the Under-19 Statewide Cup between Kingborough and Clarence. Then the statewide Vay is at 12:30 between Olympia, FC Warriors and Seoul Northern representatives on the day, Devonport. The Women's Statewide Cup final kicks off at 3 between Olympia and Clarence, and then of course the men's final at 5:30. Joining us now on the couch is Catherine McLeod from Clarence.
Hi Ben.
G'day. And Alex McNeil from Olympia.
Hi Ben.
Welcome along. The women's final is obviously an Eastern Shore derby, so Callan, why are you looking forward to this one?
Oh, look, Ben, I think the fact that it's the Eastern Shore derby lends itself to be a much more exciting clash, first and foremost. But I think also the fact that the Olympia team is very much in form. I think they're yet to lose this year in the league. And in the Statewide Cup, they've scored something like 22 goals up to this point. So, look, they're not short on firepower. And I think that's going to make for an exciting game for the fans out at KG5. On the other hand, we've got Clarence, who, of course, are the cup holders and will be pretty keen to hang on to that, I would have thought. And I'm sure Catherine will talk about that a little bit later. But I think all of those components make sure that this game's going to be one to watch and one to get there early for.
Well, let's ask Alex. I mean, your team's been in hot form over the last month. Are you confident ahead of the final?
Yeah, I am confident. I mean, we're a great bunch of girls. We work really hard at training, and at the end of the day, we're all there to support each other and keep positive.
Alex, what has the build-up been like over the past week, and what sort of formation do you think you'll adopt?
Yeah, sure. So the build-up, at training, we've been working really hard this week, keeping really focused. We do have a meeting on Sunday just to finalise all the positions, and we're ready. We're ready for Monday, and we're going to give it 100%.
Well, turning now to Clarence United, Catherine, your team are reigning champions. Are you ready to give up the cup?
No, absolutely not. We're really looking forward to Monday's game. We're, as you said, title holders from last year. We've got a lot of young players that have come up from reserves, and it's their first taste of Statewide Cup, and they're also really keen to get a win. And when you met earlier this year, Catherine, it was a one-sided game. Olympia won that one 10-1. First of all, what happened there? Were you playing in the game, and how do you turn that around going into the final on Monday?
Yeah, it was obviously very disappointing to play Olympia for the first round and lose by that much. Look, we took a lot away from that game. I think we've learnt a lot, and we've got a good set plan now. Team structure's set. I think that was our issue. We were sort of playing players in different positions that they weren't used to. So I think we've organised that, and yeah, we're ready.
Given that 10-1 scoreline, are there any team or any players in the Olympia team that you've really pinpointed for some attention on Monday?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a couple of players that we're going to target. We need to be stronger through the midfield, tag a few players there, and really stop the through ball through the defence.
Okay, well, we'll have some predictions now. Walter, starting with you.
I think you can't go past Olympia to win this one. I admire Clarence's resilience and their fighting attitude, but I think Olympia just have a little bit too much class.
Okay, Jules?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Olympia as well. It might not be a big scoreline 10-1, but I think Olympia will get over the line.
Well, Callum, are you backing the underdog again?
Yeah, look, I'm sitting next to Catherine on the couch, and she sort of tensed up a little bit there. So I think no, look, I love cup football because it means anyone can win, and I think that potentially Clarence can get up in this one on Monday as well. I think they've got a point to prove, and I think that might just make the difference. So I'm tipping them again in a close one.
Well, thanks for that, Callum, and thanks for that, Catherine and Alex, and all our panellists tonight. That concludes the football show. Thanks very much for watching. So now you've either got the game itself to watch on Monday, or you've got the highlights coming up. But we'll leave you tonight with the some footage of the secret weapon that Mr. Video filmed on Wednesday night at Glenorchy Knights training. Gabrielle the mascot. Thanks everyone, and play on.